Every day, people like Karen walk through our doors looking for answers. Often, it is in the most difficult period in their life. The good news is that we have the answer, right? Work is the answer. And better work through education is the answer. But you know that, right? You're at a Goodwill luncheon. Jerry told you earlier, it's on your centerpiece. You're not getting off the hook easily. Today we're going to talk about the questions that benefit all of us. What is work the answer to? How can we make our entire community vibrant, where you can thrive and raise your family in safe, successful communities, no matter what zip code you live in? How do we bridge our economic divide to make sure that everyone's future is as certain and as prosperous as our present? My name is Matt Williams. I'm the Vice President of Education at Goodwills Central Texas. And I'm here to tell you that we do it together. Together we lift all boats. We are a catalyst for empowerment to make sure that everyone, young and old, can improve their life through work. Do you remember those cute kids on the screen earlier? We want them to be whatever they want to be when they grow up. And we do that through early childhood education, but we give their parents an opportunity and a pathway to provide for them. You cannot help your child with their math homework if you've just picked up a third shift at your second job. You can't provide for your child if you're a felon and people see who you were and not who you are. And you can't provide for your child if you don't have education to enter the middle-skilled jobs that are a true career in our community. This may surprise you, but Goodwill's not about operating stores. We are an organization dedicated to fighting poverty through a multi-generational approach. We're an accelerator of hope and achievement in our community so that everyone has the tool set to fight poverty, lack of opportunity, low expectations, and the judgment that comes with it. We are a springboard to make sure that everyone can be self and family sufficient and change and stabilize the landscape of Austin. Today, we're going to honor 5 Hall of Honor inductees, and we are certainly going to celebrate their achievement. They've done remarkable things. They've overcome enormous obstacles to get out of poverty. But as you listen to their stories, I want you to think to yourself, what did they have to overcome? What questions did they have to answer on a daily basis that we all take for granted? Rent or food? Medicine or an electric bill? School clothes or supplies? And then I want you to take another step back. And as you hear their stories, think to yourself, as a society, what is our plan to empower people in this position? Because we cannot leave Karen behind. And there are literally hundreds of thousands of Karens in our community. 3.5 million Texans, adults, don't have a high school diploma. 60% of those in K-12 are on free or reduced lunch, meaning there's economic hardship of some kind. And 49% of our graduates do not go directly to college. Which, in case you're wondering, that's all high school prepares you to do now. 76,000 prisoners will be released from Texas jails this year. Over half have no access to reentry services whatsoever. And 68% of them do not have a GED or a high school diploma. 7,500 veterans live in poverty in Austin today. That's unacceptable. 2,700 people are going to sleep on the street tonight. 750 of them are children. And you know that. It happens about a quarter mile that way. Post-recession, our economy has only recovered 1% of the jobs that do not require post-secondary training of any kind. So let me ask you a question. Are we okay operating as a society and as a city saying that if you don't have it figured out educationally by 18, 22, or 36, that you've lost your primary pathway to achievement through education. Or that if you're a felon, that people will only see you for what you were and not who you are. Or that if you have a disability, that you can only work the jobs that we deem as appropriate. As a society right now, we are incredibly precise. We are not fault tolerant in any way. Let me put it differently. We have a plan A. We don't have a plan B. Bill Parcells, a famous NFL coach, said, "You are what your record is." We live in the most economically segregated city in the United States, right here, our city. So let me ask you a very frank question. How's plan A working out? What is everyone in our city's record? Okay. I'm going to take some deep breaths. Right? I'm going to let off just a little bit. Right? And I'm going to tell a story about airplanes, because that makes a ton of sense, right? How many in this room have heard of de Havilland? All right, congratulations. Everybody that raised their hand is really old. All right? How many of you have heard of a company called Boeing? Yeah, everybody, right? If somebody didn't raise their hand, mock them now. All right? After the Second World War, de Havilland was poised to dominate the commercial airline industry. They had a beautiful plane. It was called the Comet. It had recessed engines. It was polished stainless steel. It could reach every point in the British Empire on a single tank of gas. There was one problem with the Comet. It kept falling out of the sky. So I don't know what you know about the airline industry. That's bad. Right? The first two planes they lost, they attributed it to pilot error. And so they put all their pilots through 6 months of extra training for safety protocols. Then they lost another plane over Africa the following year. They said, "Oh, it's our windows." So they re-engineered their windows and they reassembled the plane. The following year, they lost another plane over the North Atlantic. They said, "It's our metallurgy, it's the quality of our metal." And so they're looking to find another solution. While all this is going on, there's a young upstart military contractor called Boeing. And they have an engineer there, and he takes a very scientific approach to this. And he says, "You know what the problem with flying is? Right? Flying's a bitch, right? Like, human flight's impossible. We're not supposed to fly. And when you're in the air, you have no idea where fatal stress will come from. So you have to build fault-tolerant systems with planned redundancies." So there's a very famous video where they put a de Havilland Comet in a wind tunnel. Right? And they drop a guillotine on the nose, and it explodes. So again, not to overestimate your familiarity with the airline business, but exploding airplanes are right up there with crashing airplanes. Right? They're not good. You can probably tell what's going to happen. They put a Boeing 747 in the wind tunnel. They drop a guillotine on the nose, and it keeps running. That was the end of British aviation. What we need to pull from this story is really, how do we approach failure? Right? De Havilland's approach was to take everything apart, polish it, re-engineer it, and put it back together. Right? They assumed a precise solution to their problem. Boeing said, "We have no idea what's going to happen up there. So we're going to build a system that's fault tolerant, that can take anything it throws at us." Fighting poverty is a lot like flying an airplane. You never know where fatal stress is going to come from. You don't know what's going to knock someone off course. So we have to build fault-tolerant, redundant systems. The good news is that we're doing that at Goodwill. You, me, and Goodwill, it's up to us to keep the plane flying. Right? Every year, we find new solutions and hone what we're already doing. We tailor our case management, financial literacy, and career advancement training to make sure that our clients are most competitive for the open jobs. We changed Texas law, and we opened a high school for someone over the age of 26 to earn a high school diploma. We know that the difference between a GED and a high school diploma is $1,400 to $1,600 a month more in income. And this morning, 500 students are sitting in the Excel Center earning their high school diploma. But we're not building the school for the parents. Let's know a little secret. We built the school for their children, for the 58 children sitting in our pre-K, and the hundreds of children who have a parent as a student, whose life will forever be changed because their parent had a way to invest in their future and provide for them long term. At the Goodwill Career and Technical Academy, we work side by side with business. We actually let business take the lead in designing courses that will allow our clients to go into high-wage careers in IT, healthcare, and construction. We started a high school and a prison so that when prisoners are released, they will have an education and a plan. And we filed legislation for a 90-day work release program for nonviolent offenders so that when you're released, you have a job, financial stability, and a place to live. We're off to a great start. We're doing really good work, but we don't have all the answers, all right? We're developing new answers every single day. We are an organization dedicated to fighting poverty through the power of work because we know work builds hope, dignity, confidence, and financial security. That's the foundation of a strong family. Strong families are the fabric of thriving communities, no matter what the zip code is. So we will continue to do this work because you've heard the data, and we know the data. We don't keep doing this for the data. We can't ignore Karen's face. We can't ignore the faces of our Hall of Honor inductees. And we can't ignore the faces of the hundreds of thousands of neighbors we see in this city every day. So we will continue, Goodwill, to take full responsibility for the impoverished, for the incarcerated, for the undereducated, those with special needs, those that are homeless, and those with a disability. But we can't do it alone. We need your partnership. What happens in our community, or what does not happen in our community, is up to every single one of us. There's no passive choice. Either you will be involved or you won't. That is an active decision either way. And let me warn you before you partner with us, this is incredibly messy work, right? But it's life-changing. It is hard work that takes failing sometimes to figure it out, with a lot of grit and a lot of innovation. Right? There's no magic bullet. There's no potion we came up with. Right? It's exactly what you think it is. Design and hard work and a passion for the people we serve. So today, we have the opportunity to honor 5 Hall of Honor inductees. And we are certainly going to celebrate with them because they have overcome enormous obstacles to be where they are today. But as you hear their stories, think about this. How did they get out? How are they providing with their families? Take another step back. What is our plan as a society for people in this situation? We are the solution. Right? Work is the answer. Thank you very much.